how would you encourage them if, their kid is not wanting to go to youth on a Wednesday?
I think that everyone has to understand that discipleship doesn't start the moment they get to church. It starts at home.
How do you maintain integrity outside of the church, in behind closed doors, as a pastor?
I think you got to approach it with fear and trembling. I fell in love with God so much that I don't want to do anything that's not aligned to his heart. No matter how anointed, no matter what giftings, no matter if you can preach or you can lead or whatever it is, all of us can lose our integrity in an instant.
What are our thoughts? What were those moments where it's like, man, the guys need the guys?
There are things that our wives shouldn't carry. The burdens that we have, they shouldn't carry those burdens.
Men need men, women need women. You might not see it the way that I need,
right?
Yeah.
But my friend will.
Right.
Yeah.
So the difference, you need friends. I know you say we're about to wrap up, but I feel like we're just getting warmed up.
Listen, we got all night, dude. We got all night. Let's do it.
So, no, I had a question for you guys. Yeah. So I was looking at my, what's today's date? June 6th. So it's going to be June 7th, a complete year that I tore the tendon on my chest.
Already?
Already?
Wow.
Wow.
That was fast.
Right?
Okay.
So as I'm looking like back, I'm like, man, wow, like it feels short, but it feels so long ago at the same time.
Yeah.
I just started thinking like how much things have changed, how I've learned different things in this last year.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of you guys, what's like one key thing? Because we could say multiple. What's one key thing that you've learned this year that has maybe shifted something in your life?
I think just being honest with myself has been a real thing this year, and finding help. I think as men, especially, we think we can do it on our own, and most of the time we can fake it a lot on our own. But this year, really figuring out who Joe is. What is Joe like? Because like I said in the beginning, I adapt really well.
Yeah.
People ask me what's my style. I don't have a style because I'll wear Columbia shirts on Friday, and I'm wearing,
Then he's got a cheetah print.
I wear cheetah print and skinny jeans. Like I like all kinds of music but what do I really like? Like what does Joe really like? So I think this good. Last year, just figuring out who I am, being honest with myself. It's funny because you were like, church. Well, anything for God is not a burden, right? And the second you realize that, you realize what an honor is. I would always say that, I'm doing church because God wants me to do this. It's a burden on my family. It's financially burdened. And this was the first year that I was like, no, God put this in my heart. It's something I want. Yeah. It's not a burden. It's something I want. I want to do this. It's the first thing I've been good at, and that I love, and I want to do this. And that's being honest with myself and being real. Like, it was funny because I told Renee and Iris, hey guys, like, I realized something about myself, like, I want to do the Lord's work. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, we know. And I'm like, what do you mean? I didn't know that. They're like, yeah, we could see it. But I wasn't being real with myself.
We're just waiting for you to figure it out.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. Like, we were waiting for you to figure it out.
Usually happens like that. Yeah. You're the last ones.
Yeah. But I thought I was just doing it because God told me to. But it's really identifying, what do I really want? Because I was an unhappy Joe. I was unhappy who I was and who I was going to be. And I wasn't even being a real dad, a real husband, and just faking a lot of stuff. So that's what I really realized is, take a minute for myself, figure out what Joe wants, and get help. I never thought I would do therapy, and now I'm like six different therapists for different reasons. So get help. I think those are the two big things.
Man.
Because I can't help other people if I'm not helping myself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, being honest with yourself is hard.
Yeah, 100%.
No, sometimes you just don't even know what you want.
Because you could fake yourself. You could fake it to yourself because nobody knows.
Big time.
You could just say you're in your head like, no, I'm good, and nobody would ever know. 100%. You could lie to yourself, and nobody would ever know.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's good, man.
Yeah, that's me.
For me, one key thing I think that I've learned so far this year is how important it is to have a community around you and God definitely in hand
Yeah.
when it comes to leadership, because this year I have skyrocketed with just a lot of leadership things, given to me, right? I've been blessed with them. And holding the tension of, I have a lot of hats right now on, and resting, right? Making sure that my cup is filled, because again, what you just said, I can't help people if I'm not helping myself.
Sure.
And I can't pour into them if I'm not getting poured into, right? By my boys, by my pastors, or my rest time. And I think it's also being okay with the call, because I've struggled a lot with, again, kind of like not so much the, oh, do I belong, like how we said in the beginning, but I've always struggled with worth. Like, am I I don't deserve this, And it's true, you don't deserve it, right? We don't deserve anything God gives us. Right. He gives it to us freely because He loves us, right? But that it's not a humility type of like, I don't deserve this. It's like a condemning kind of like, I don't deserve this. Like I've done way too many bad things. I've cussed out God before I came to God. Yep. I've told Him to leave me alone more times than I care to count, and to see how He's elevated me since the beginning of this year to now, it makes me, want to like cry tears of joy. I'm not though. But yeah, man, sometimes when I ponder on it, I'm like, man, God is so good.
Yeah. And
He's so gracious, and He is so rich in His mercies, and yeah, those are the key things, like being okay with the call, accepting it with godly confidence, not this pride and all that stuff. No, but godly confidence and it's biblical, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that the Bible talks about that God gives us confidence, right? Like He gives us like a godly confidence that we can walk in. Yeah. And I think that stemmed in boasting in my weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Like I know where this is why I keep myself on a leash, right? Yeah. You find the most freedom in your restrictions. Yeah. At least in our walk, the way we got to live our life and consecrate ourselves, and that's how we keep our integrity, is keep yourself on restrictions, and that to me that's been the key for me.
Yeah, definitely. For me, and I can't remember Pastor Grayson, since he was with us for,
shout out Pastor Grayson.
Yeah, he gave us so much
so much in so little time.
Yeah, the wisdom and discernment. So if I remember correctly, he spoke about the jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
And about
that was rough.
That
was the leadership
at the staff chapel.
At the staff chapel,
right? Yeah. So okay, so he spoke about like being the bird or being the tree in the jigsaw puzzle, and the importance it is, right? So then that caused me
rough.
Yeah, and it has made me self-reflect.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I can't do this alone. Like Operation A5.
Yeah.
If I was doing it by myself, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
It's meant to do it with the guys that understand me, that I do life with.
That's good.
So we're all a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Now we all have a role.
Yeah.
So like, what can I give as a father if I don't have kids? But Joe, you add to that. Alex, you add to that. Yeah. Alex, your testimony alone, I can't compare it because I've never even been through what you've been through.
Yeah.
But because we're all doing it together and we're doing this life together, it's important.
Right.
So in anything we do in life, it's like we need people. Now, just because you need people, that does not make you any less valuable. Mm-hmm. You still add and you contribute to the puzzle, and you are an important role. Now, we got to check ourselves. It's like, all right, because I'm an important role, I'm not going to, let this go to my head. I got to remain humble about it, but also contribute to it.
Yeah.
So when he spoke on that, it was like, man, as much as I know my gifts and, I try to pour out what I can, it doesn't work if the other people aren't with me and aren't doing life with me.
Yeah.
So that to me has been vital. And as you asked that question, Pastor Fe, it was just like tunnel vision of like everything that I've gone through in my walk and where it's led me to today.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that when you find out that you're a puzzle piece and you find out what part of the puzzle piece you are, you're okay not being the whole picture.
Yeah.
Right.
You're okay with that.
I thought it was something that was so important about that thing, that was such a realization, because sometimes, so imagine like a bird on the puzzle piece, what you said, and then there's grass, and then there's sky. You know, we always want to focus on the bird, right? Because that's the important job. And so what I took from that is we're always going to move parts, right? Yeah. And even I talked to Pastor Matt about it today. I'm like, I'm not going to be in this position forever. Somebody's going to take it over. I'm going to do something else. We're always moving, right? Yeah. Even himself, he's not always going to be in that role. One day he's going to be a pastor of many churches, right? Yeah. So like even his role will change. Like, you know, you're not going to be in your role forever, you know? So what was so important to me is that it doesn't matter where we fit. We're always going to move around, you know? But what's so crazy is like there's a lot of green at the bottom, and you might feel so insignificant in the green, but if one of those pieces were missing, I don't even care about the bird. Yep. I noticed that there's a piece missing. 100%. So for me, that was like, I don't care where I'm on the puzzle anymore. Because if I'm missing, right, the whole thing's off. And it doesn't matter if I'm holding the door, I'm cleaning the floors, I'm not discipling one person, but I'm doing something that's the bigger picture. That is so huge, and what a good feeling for everybody to understand. Like, it doesn't matter where I'm on that, you know? It doesn't. Because if I'm missing, the whole thing's off.
Yeah. I think that's like kind of in the sense you're understanding your strength. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, that'd be another question that I would love to ask you guys, but yeah. I don't know, just
Chris, I think Chris wanted to share
first. Yeah.
No, I mean, one of them is obviously, you know, it's okay to need help. Right? It's okay to need help. So therapy also has been super helpful. And the other thing is, you know, really, truly having faith and believing what God has, the identity that God has given me, right? Not what other have labeled me or what I have labeled myself, right? But truly believing and having faith for what God has called me to be, right? I'm a son, you know what I mean?
Man.
It's good, man.
Yeah. I should have went first. You took I think for me, definitely understanding that I need help, that I need to stay away from isolation. You know, I've gone through some things this year that really tested that. You know, when I first started my walk with God, I came broken. I came broke. However you put it, like, you know, spiritually I was broken, financially I was broken, you know, relationship wise I was broken. Like, I was just messed up, and I understand that. But now it gave me a different type of understanding that I do need this fellowship, you know, this discipleship around, even if it's not that it's higher, it's just simply men walking together. I need that. I can't put myself in that alone space and you know, let my thoughts take over. Yeah. So it's been very hard. I'm sure, you know, a few of you have seen that I've been missing for some time. I'm back, but definitely that has been my tipping point and even my pushback, because it's like, not only do I need more of God, like this is the time where I need to get closer, but I need of my brothers.
That's so good, man.
You know?
Yeah. Amen, bro. That's good.
What about you, Fe?
Oh, man. Don't try to chest press 400 pounds when you're dehydrated. And don't tear your chest again.
Is that why it's tore?
It was one of those days that, so the day before I barely ate. And I went in there and I felt dehydrated and I felt terrible.
But you were like, I'm still going to kill this workout.
Yeah. But my mistake was that I was supposed to warm up somewhere, right?
You just went straight to it.
But it was taken. So it got me pissed off. So I'm just going to start throwing this heavy weight around. And then as I'm doing it, FedEx calls me because they're trying to deliver a package. And I'm not understanding what this guy's saying. And I'm like, yo, the address is right there. And so he gets me off the workout. I'm 5 minutes talking to him. and he just pisses me off even more. But then I get cold.
Yeah.
But I didn't warm up again. I just kept adding because out of anger. I was like, just keep adding, and then it was on a machine. It wasn't on a bench or anything. I don't really like benching, but I just went too deep in. My body wasn't used to being that stretched, like my chest. I just gave out. But there was a good amount of weight on it. But it was just like out of anger. So I was like, let me not do that again. Yeah. No, I think that this year is very similar to what a lot of you guys said. And I think that it's kind of been the theme of our talk today, kind of just getting to know yourself, right?
Yeah.
And to build that confidence inside of you.
Yeah.
If there's something that I feel like God has kind of gifted me in, is to try to grab somebody that doesn't have that confidence and build them to it.
It's good.
Just because I know the steps to take, because I was there.
Yeah.
I was the lowest of the low confidence. I had no confidence in myself.
Right.
No type of ability to trust myself in anything. So I think that this year it was kind of like God saying, trust that confidence. Like I gave it to you for a reason.
Yeah.
Trust who I made you to be. Like just run with it. Just run. Like literally just run. Like stop hesitating. Just run. So I think that was the big one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think you had a second question for us, right?
Yeah, I did. So knowing
I love this, by the way. It's
We're
the
getting
first guest
interviewed now.
that has asked those questions.
Yeah, it's
I love
true.
it.
Yeah,
I
you're the
love
first
it.
guest that's
Yeah.
asked those questions.
you should put it as you have to do it.
Yeah.
It's not a waiver.
Yeah.
You better ask us at least a question.
Yeah.
So knowing that, right, going to the puzzle piece and knowing, if I'm missing, then there's something missing.
Sure.
So what would you guys qualify? I'd say, I don't know. I mean, there's probably plenty, but let's say just two for the sake of everybody being able to go. What are two strengths that you know? And this is a safe place, right? I mean, it's not arrogant. It's not nothing.
Oh, for sure.
But what are your strengths? Because I feel like I've been reading a book. It's called The Self-Aware Leader.
Yeah.
And it's by John Maxwell, and he talks about operating in your strengths, not in your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Operating in your strengths. Because even if you try to improve your weaknesses, you'll probably be just mediocre.
Right.
Right.
But you could have been spending that time strengthening your
So good.
strength.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of like a jack of all trades, a master of none type thing.
Exactly. So it's kind of, what would you guys classify as your strength?
Yeah. It's good. Yeah, I mean,
Joe starts.
I'll go first. It's a good question. So I would have to say something I'm really good at, and it's a little bit annoying at times. I think we I already hit on this, is I'm really good at identifying issues and fixing them. It can be a burden to some people, right? Because identifying issues, you become cold-hearted to people. You become
You look like the bad guy.
yeah, you look like a bad guy, but also you put in your spirit negative thoughts, right? Because you're looking always at the bad, But I think God has given me a gift to do that and still find good, right? Even like when I worked in restaurants, it would be a tough day, like a bad day. I'm like pushing the guys, hey, we're messing up here, we're doing this, but at the end of the day, I'd be like, hey, guys, wow, we did it, good job today, like we pulled it through, I think God has given me that gift. And really accelerated me in this season to, I think even Yessie told me today, she's like, Joe, you're different because God has really changed me. And to be able to give grace even more and just really love on people through. And I'm still, these signs need to be up every Sunday. If not, I'm going to point it out.
Yeah, 100%.
But I'm teaching them and loving on them and showing it. So I think that's a gift that God has given me. And I think, I talk about it all the time. I love discipling people. I think that's something that was prophesied over me when I already knew it, but it was something that God needed to confirm in me that, I was prophesied over that thousands of people were going to come through my discipleship,
Amen.
And I believe that. I think it's not just me discipling 1,000 people, but the process of that. But I think that's something that God has put in my heart. I love being around people. That's something we have in common, That's why, I was like, yeah, me and Faye are going to work together because we love discipleship. And I think those are two things, and they correlate with each other, that God's really put on me, I think there's a lot of gifts that, I can do, but I think those are my two strongest.
top ones.
And especially in, it's not just church, but just everywhere.
In general, yeah, 100%.
I use it for the Lord, but I think those are two things that God's really put in me.
And you do it so elegantly.
Thank you.
Like you're able to look at details
Yeah.
and not come off like if you're being mean.
Yeah.
So I'd encourage you to you're not looking for the bad.
Yeah.
You're looking, how can we improve for the good?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a different, it's just like it could help.
But it can mess with your mind though if you're not
100%. Yeah. And the good thing is that you're aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-aware. So you're like, okay, I'm not going to let this become a critical spirit.
Right.
Because at the moment that you're pointing things out, it's not a critical.
No.
You're being like constructive criticism.
I'm just thinking the way I've been approaching it at church specifically is like, if I'm a new person, this is what I'm looking at, right? Like I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at how everything feels. So I'm coming in a mindset of, I know you've been here 1,000 times. I'm sure you miss things, and that's just how we're wired.
That's a great mindset.
That's just how we're wired. That we come numb to stuff because it's every day.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at a new person. My head's probably down because I don't want to look up. So what am I looking at? The floors. So what am I worried about is the floors.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm
true,
thinking
man.
about,
Yeah.
So
you're looking at it through their perspective.
right.
Yeah.
And that's not.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
So-
Yeah, that's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
For me, two strengths. For sure that I'm a leader. And that I'm more confident in saying that. I feel like before I would say it and I'd be like, what is someone going to say to that? Like, are you? And even if someone does tell me that, I just, with the confidence that God gave me, I'm like, yeah, I am. And the way that I've been in leadership for so long, even before church, because God doesn't waste anything.
Yeah.
God wastes nothing, man. Even the secular, he does not waste it, because the job I'm in currently and the job before, I've been a leader.
Yeah.
And I grew to it fast. Same thing when I got, I think, to church. And less than a year of me serving, you guys asked me, hey, I don't think you guys asked. You guys like, hey, by the way, you're a campus leader. Yeah. I'm like, I'm a what now?
It was the Wild West at those times.
Yeah, but and I didn't feel ready for it, right? And you guys would constantly, you and Alisher, shout out Alisher, would always tell me like, hey, we need you to start
acting like it.
Yeah, literally that's what Alisher told me one day. He's like, you need to start acting like it.
Yeah.
Because we see it in you. You need to start acting like it. And I was still battling that, like, am I a leader?
I don't think I want all the responsibility.
Right. I'm like, I don't know if I can handle all this. Yeah. But man, this year God has shown me that I can handle it.
100%.
Between what we got going on here, what I got going on at church, and then all the other things that we do at church outside of me leading safety. And being married, that's my number one leadership thing right there, is leading my home, and leading my wife in the right direction, and constantly improving.
Yeah.
And then I think my second strength, which is kind of maybe an unorthodox one, but I think it's my humor. I think God uses my humor to open people up.
That's a great one, man.
Yeah.
I think God uses my sense of humor.
That's what connected us.
Right. And that's what connected us. And I'll be honest, right? And with one of our pastors right next to us, I'll be honest. My humor isn't always, I've come a long way.
Are you saying it's not the cleanest?
Yeah, exactly. My humor is not always the cleanest, right? But I have come a long way. And I think, Joe, you can definitely, you've witnessed it.
Oh, 100%.
The only way that people are able to get that humor, they got to pay for the other podcast, right?
Exactly. Pay for the Patreon, the exclusive episodes. No, but yeah, man, like I've come a long way with my humor. God has really like shaped me and refined my sense of humor, because before, obviously, in the world it was perverted jokes, out of pocket things, and all that stuff. And I still say off-colored jokes, right? But that are more appropriate, right? Like I know I can say this at church with my people, and they'll find it funny, like, and God, now I have like this muscle in my head, right? It's the Holy Spirit, obviously, like maybe not that one. You know, maybe not. And sometimes I mess up, and he'll be like, probably shouldn't have said that, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Learn from it. Yeah.
You learn from it.
Yeah.
Now we keep it going.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. As soon as you asked that question, I just felt like God said, "Your humor,
100%, man.
your humor, man." Like, and again, be confident in it.
Yeah.
You know. And I know Alex can relate to me.
Yeah.
With the humor. You know.
I just want to speak something over your life too.
Oh God.
You might not.
I'm gonna cry.
No. You might not see it as a strength, but I think more people are realizing it, and I think you'll start to realize it. You're a great communicator. You know, it might seem silly, but you on the church news, it flows
was
so well
great.
for you.
You're on announcements this Sunday
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
I've seen
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, that was a leak.
It's all right. This episode won't come out anytime soon. It'll be out after I'm already on there. So
the way you communicate on this the way you communicate on this podcast, you always open us up, you close us out.
Yeah.
Even like the videos that you do for Instagram, I think it's something that you're realizing that God has put in you, that you are a good communicator, and He's going to continue to grow that. Because I've seen it. You've hidden yourself from that. You haven't allowed yourself, but you are a good communicator. You have a good voice for it.
Thank you.
God has gifted you in that, so I'm excited to see that grow in you.
thank you.
Are you? Do you shy away from it? Fear of arrogance?
What do you mean?
Like you're like, I don't want it because I don't want to seem arrogant if I do it.
I think so. Yeah. You know what? Because that's where I get what I said earlier, that how are people going to look or think, right? If I say I am a good communicator, I am a good leader, you know? Are people going to look at me and be like, look at this arrogant dude, man.
Yeah.
Like, who does he think he is? You know?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I heard Tim Ross had mentioned this. He was talking about how we have to stop vilifying people being confident in what they know they're good at.
Yeah.
Yep,
So he's like,
100%, man.
because he said it, he's like, I know I'm a good communicator, right? He was like, I'm a great communicator. I've been doing it for 30 something years, you know? So I know that I know how to speak well. And I'm not going to let somebody tell me, oh, be careful, don't fall into pride. It's like, why am I going to fall into pride?
Right.
I know what I'm good at.
Yep.
You know, just like a mechanic knows he's a good mechanic. A doctor knows he's a good doctor. If you go into a surgery and you got a doctor that's not confident that he's a good doctor, you should probably get out of there. You know,
How you feeling, Doc?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm a little shaky today. You know, so
Yeah,
it's
you
true.
don't
Like
want that.
you're not going to invite someone to preach at your church or to speak at your leadership summit or whatever if you don't, if they don't believe that they're a good communicator.
Yep,
Right.
100%.
So yeah, absolutely. I think I know it's definitely that. Like that's where I like hesitate sometimes,
Yeah.
and I'm more cautious to say like, I think I'm a good communicator. Or I know I'm a good communicator, or I know I'm a good whatever, because of that afterthought of people like,
Yeah.
And I think so. I asked that because that was mine. And if there's one thing that I battled with heavy, was caring what people thought.
Yeah,
Oh, that was my burden for years.
yeah,
And it held me back from doing so many things.
yeah,
And I think that the quicker you can accept that people are probably going to see you like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Who's this arrogant guy?
Yeah.
And be okay with it.
yeah.
The
Not
quicker-
everybody's gonna like you. Not everybody like Jesus.
100%. And so it's like the quicker that you can just jump over that hurdle and be like, yeah, they might think that. So confidence is not, I hope they like me.
Yeah.
Confidence is, I'm okay if they don't.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, we can end the podcast there.
So good.
That was thank you.
Yeah, man. So
Thank you.
And a lot
Run
of
it.
a lot of it stems from their own personal things, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just
Right, like the critical spirit.
There could be jealous that they
100%.
don't have that gift.
Yeah.
Right? And
big time.
so it's be confident that God is giving you that and walk in it.
Run.
Or they just simply want to be there.
Yeah.
That happens a lot too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, why he get it?
Yep.
Why I ain't get it?
Right.
You know,
100%.
I could communicate like he communicate. Why, you know?
Yep, 100%.
And that's exactly what stops him from ever getting there. It's that,
Yeah,
you know.
it's good.
Who else has to go? Oh, Alex, you wanna go?
Well, I mean, I guess since you guys call me out now,
Alexander.
I think my personality is definitely one of my strongest suits. And I think the ability to be open and honest with the youth gives me that ability for them to realize that I'm not, I guess, you know, pulling their chain or you know, or BSing them or whatever the case may be, and then I'm just being as raw and as authentic as I can be. And I think when they notice that is definitely, I capture so much more, you know, and I've come to learn to find that, because I got that in a word, but it's a difference when you're actually hearing it and you kind of doubt yourself, like kind of like, you know, the question when they asked you, did you ever see yourself being a pastor? It's like, heck no.
Yep.
You know, and it was like, even when they told me, like, you're gonna be around kids, you're gonna be around the youth, and they're gonna listen to you. Your words hold so much weight, and I'm like, man, stop playing with me. You know?
Right.
Like, I don't, ain't none of these kids gonna be listening to me. I'm still trying to get my own kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you start to gravitate towards that the more that you're involved in these kids' lives, and you start to see.
You start to see the fruit.
You start seeing the fruit, and you start to see them grow.
It's good.
So I would definitely have to say that, you know, youth for sure is
100%, man.
I'm gonna speak something over your life too.
oof. Let's hear it.
And it might sound silly at first, but I think our relationship, it helped heal our relationship. Not heal, but just get through some stuff. And it might sound funny to other people. I don't care. Your hugs heal. They do.
It's good, man. Yes, that's very true.
You break my ribs every time, and I know you've hugged me, you know, because your embrace just makes me feel good, you know. And even though we may have not been aligned, you hugging me, you know, made me feel comforted, made me feel like we were going to be okay, you know. And so it might seem silly to some people, it might seem even silly to yourself, but your hugs mean the world. And when you were out, I felt the lack of that. I felt the missing of that. I felt, I'm like, it might sound funny, but like my ribs are okay today. But there is healing in that. And so I think God's put that in you, that I could hug somebody the same way and it doesn't feel the same. So it's helped heal a lot in me, you know, so I'm sure it's done for other people.
Thank you.
Yeah. You have an ability to touch people with your words.
Yeah.
But you have an ability that when you extend the hand out for a hug or anything, you bring that, okay, I got somebody with me.
Yeah.
I'm not alone.
Yeah.
100%, big time.
Yeah.
Good.
Your loyalty too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
That's a
1,000%.
big gift.
Thank you.
Massive gift.
There's a verse that I read the other day, and as Joe was talking, I feel like God reminded me of it. You're a comforter,
Ooh, big time.
you know. And there's a verse in the Bible that says, and I wish I could remember where I read it, man. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Pastor Fe, I have failed you.
It's all right, bro. I might not even remember you.
The verse says that as God has comforted us, now we can comfort others.
Good,
Yeah.
man.
So as much as he has comforted you in your suffering, in your pain, in your trials, you now have the opportunity to comfort those that either go through the same thing,
Yeah.
and not always, right? Because we don't have to go through a thing to relate to a thing or to talk about a thing.
Yeah.
You get me?
It's good.
So you're a comforter, bro. And
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no. I was gonna say I know that's not a gift that's written in the Bible, but I think that's definitely something that the Holy Spirit helps us to become. Because if it's in the Word,
Yeah.
it's in it's true, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So you're a comforter, bro.
Yeah.
ahead, Pastor Faye. Sorry.
No. I was listening to something, and it talks about everyone speaks in different frequencies.
Yeah.
Right. It's by Pastor Erwin McManus. And he talks
He's fire.
7 frequencies of communication, right? Not just on stage, but in general,
Sure.
in life. So, like, let's say an animal, right? You can be telling it the worst things in the world, but if you speak it in a nice frequency, they're gonna take it as it's a good thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So you could do that with anybody that doesn't speak our language.
Right.
You could just say something like, "Hey, I really hate you today," but they're just gonna be like, "Wow, this guy's really nice." So it's like you speak in different frequencies, right?
Yeah.
He lists all these 7 or whatever. But as you were talking about like comforting and everything, I think it's so important for us as men because we're going to use communication whether we're on stage or we're not.
Sure.
Right.
Like just in life in general with our wives, friends, all these things. I think that all of us have different frequencies. And one of the things that popped out when he was telling you that was you probably have a healer frequency. That when you speak, that it's not a motivator, it's not a challenger. You might have some of that, but I think it's like when you speak, there's healing. It's healing that takes place in people's heart. You know, I felt that. So it's super cool. I encourage you guys to watch it because the way he breaks it down, those 7 are incredible.
That's fire.
I think for me, it's just speaking encouragement into others.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
1000%. Chris is the best hype man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That and just, making people feel welcomed.
Yeah.
Right. Though I think those are my 2 biggest strengths for sure.
Hospitality and encouragement.
Yeah, dude.
That's needed, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's big time. I'd say for you also being able to relate with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I talked to you, just even the first couple of times, I felt like I knew you forever.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%. I can see that encouragement and hospitality big time.
Yeah.
For real. It's like you know a lot or a little bit of a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, you can just have like these conversations with people. It's like, how you know about that?
Yeah, it's true.
You know, like certain things that I'll overhear you. Like we'll be at church and I'll hear you talking to people and it's like, where'd you read that at?
Bro, and it's so true. It's so
Where'd you
true.
get that from?
Sometimes you look at Chris and you're like, Chris, do you even know this guy? He's like, no. Bro, you were talking to him for like 20 minutes. He's like, I know.
You're so good. You're so good at it, man.
But you're good at it, bro. Like
You're so good at it.
it's a gift, dog. It's a gift.
Yeah.
That's why you were in host. I mean, you're in safety now. You can't leave, but
I do umbrella here.
Yeah. I was going to speak that over you is that that you're an encourager 100%, but because you encourage so well that it is a safe space for people. Like
1000%.
when even there were things that I was going through that people that you loved hurt me and I was talking badly about them, right? In the wrong context, but I was. You still even made me feel safe in that space, right? Because you encouraged me, you can get through this, you're going to be all right. I say that's a gift because it's like, it's the spiritual or talking through side of a hug, right? I know you give me good hugs, right? You do. But it's more of how your presence brings me in.
Yes.
That's more important to me. Yeah. Like I love your hugs and I'm not discrediting your hugs, but the way you bring me into your space and just make me feel like, Joe, you're going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Let's talk about something else or whatever. You get my mind off of it. Yeah. I think that's a gift that you have where you can bring people into proximity to you. And
you don't even got to say anything. I feel like you just being around you is just a joy.
It's a spiritual hug that you have, you know?
Or he just makes light of certain situations. And it's like, man, I needed that.
Yeah.
So to speak.
100%.
Yeah.
Like my mental space was somewhere else. And even something as minimal as you changing the subject or just getting me out of that element at that moment is like, thanks, bro. I just needed that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know what you just did for me.
Yes.
You just helped me out in so many ways. Yeah. So definitely for sure.
Yeah, it's good.
I've always told Chris he's like a firefly, not a butterfly, because he lights up a room wherever he goes. You know,
Ooh, firefly.
he's a little firefly.
Love it, man.
Should be your next.
Richie, did you go already? No,
not yet. Well, for me, man, Pastor Matt spoke about this in, I believe, the 11th, if I'm not mistaken. the importance of having a gentle leader. I don't remember if it was in the 11 now or if it was when we were choosing our new board members. But he spoke at one point about something about a gentle leader. And I didn't understand that at first because that is something that I'm trying to navigate, because if you're going on your instincts and based on what the world says, oh, nice guys finish last. Mm-hmm. Nice guys, they'll never, get one up on the other guy. Mm-hmm. But when you really understand it with God, it's like there's such an important place for a nice guy in the world.
Oh, big time.
So that gentle leader, and I know Renee said it because Renee's absolutely right. He is a leader. Mm-hmm. I am a leader, but I put the gentle leader first.
Yeah.
Because the gifts, or like if strengths or whatever you want to call them, one, what I would say, I'm a good listener.
Richard's a vault.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm a good listener, and I like to think that I have patience.
Ooh, that's good.
Now,
No, you do. Let me speak that over you, my boy. Yeah. You've got patience, dog. Because I've seen you deal with certain people. I'm like, oh, oh, Jesus, thank you for not calling me there.
Yeah, at times I speak like 45 to 50 minutes, and Richard's just like, nice.
And actually listening, like he's not.
Not spaced
like
out. He'll remember.
He'll hit you with the footnotes, and you're like, oh, okay, he was
That's
listening.
really good, man.
Yeah.
so with that being said, like, with the patience part, obviously I have to monitor that.
Yeah.
Because the more patience you have, the more patience people will try your patience.
Yeah.
And it's like a muscle. It's going to be stretch and stretch. Mm-hmm. So I guess going back to something you said earlier is having boundaries.
Yeah, big time.
Even with my patience with people. So I think that is very important. And obviously, I'm not saying this to compare myself to anybody, because I'm Richard and I'm my own individual, but a pastor that has always stuck to me, that personality wise, that I remember him and I miss him for sure. Just because he was in that light.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Pastor Slayton.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out Pastor Slater.
Yeah, man, I miss that man.
Damn.
I'm not gonna lie.
Come through.
Love to have
We
you on
just
the
gotta go
podcast.
pick him up from Orlando. You know what I'm saying?
But that's right around the corner, so we can get it.
Yeah.
But just seeing him in that light, just the way he communicated with people, the way he loved on people, the way he related, and then when he would preach, there was just something about it. And even when he was doing it more consistently, like, man, this man just brought a word.
Yeah.
So I related so much with him, and someone that I did look up to.
Yeah.
And yeah, so for me, it's like trying to navigate how a gentle leader leads.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good, man. I love that you said gentle and kind, because the nice people, they just get trampled on.
Yeah.
But you're kind and you're gentle, because those are fruits of the spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
So knowing that, I know I'm
Well, I wanted to speak something over his life.
No. Dude.
We have 2 episodes.
Yeah,
prolonging this.
we split all of our guest episodes, so you're good. You're good.
I think we have 4 here.
I just want to say real quick that Richie is the most intentional person that I know.
Yeah.
Like, you are so intentional about every little thing. Like, you want to know about. You ask the weird questions that nobody would think about because
So true.
you want to know more about that person. You know, you ask the deep questions, the hard questions, because you're being intentional with people. You're consistently annoying me about coming over your house because you're being intentional with
Outside of podcast related things.
Yeah, like, you're being so intentional with me. Like, you want to build relationship, and you're like, I'm not going to stop until Joe comes over. I'm not going to stop. And that's intentionality. And people need that. People need somebody that's intentional with them, because not everybody is. I'm not very intentional with people. I struggle with that. It's something I need to work on. But I need people like you in my life that are intentional with me, right? And that way I can see how it's done. I can be more like, you put me on check when you're like, Joe, when you're gonna hang out, and I'm like, why am I not doing that to other people? So keep being that way. Keep looking for the little details in people. Because that's how you find out who people are, right? And there's stuff that people are excited to talk about, but nobody ever asks them. But you ask those questions, you know. So, thank you. Yeah.
Oh man, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I'm gonna cry right now.
Yeah, I know I'm prolonging it,
Yeah.
but I thought of it since we know, like you guys mentioned strengths, right?
Yeah.
Super important. You tell me when we gotta just.
No, dude.
It's all up to you. So
It's all up
whatever
to
you're
you.
doing,
You want
you're
on
doing.
your
We're
time.
on your time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't care about my job like that.
I got call outs.
so since we know our strengths,
Yeah.
right? Since you guys know like where we're strong at, what would be the dark side of that strength? What would be the negative, like per se? Like let's say somebody's really good at challenging, right? I think that the dark side for a challenger would be manipulator. So what would you consider the dark side of that strength?
Yeah. I mean, it's for me, it's that, right? Like I'm always looking for the negative. Well, like we talked about. And it's so funny you say that because I was at my my kid's graduation, and she's the assistant principal at the school. So there's always a challenge there, you know, because for me, I understand it's her job, but for me, it's my kids. Like that's my priority. And so my daughter goes up, you know, they do the thing, and I didn't like the way the awards were handed out. I didn't like that the measurements that they were given, you know, like I just wasn't happy. It wasn't based off grades or anything. It was based off time spent on the computer, which didn't correlate to
Kind of like a participation trophy.
the people who were getting awarded didn't make sense why they were getting awarded. Like it didn't translate over to their scores. Like my daughter has better scores than them, but because they spent more time on the computer, they got an award and my daughter didn't, right? So that kind of bothered me a little bit, right? So what did I do? I went in the middle of between her graduation and my son's. I complained to my wife about the school system and how terrible it is, and I became very negative. And all she could say to me is, why can't you just be a dad and just be here and just enjoy the moment, you know? And because I was so wrapped up in like my political views, what do I think about the school system, because I don't agree about everything. That's the dark side, is that sometimes you can't just enjoy. Like it's hard for me to sit in service.
Wow.
It's harder for me to sit in service and just enjoy worship when I hear something's off.
I know what you're saying.
You know, and you know this isn't right. A couple weeks ago, your mic was way too loud, and it was just
I remember that.
like somebody fix it because it's driving me nuts. You know, like I can't just sit there and enjoy sometimes, and I have to remember that I can't fix everything.
Right.
I can't be the naysayer for everything.
Yeah.
That stuff is going to go wrong. It is,
Yeah.
but it can be very negative. It can ruin moments, because it ruined that moment with me and my wife.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I'm not just like this at church. I'm like this everywhere. You know, like I'm fighting fault. You know, so that's the dark side, I think, because I just can't enjoy. You know, I go out to dinner because I worked in restaurants my whole life. Like I can't just sit there. I'm like, man, this service is taking forever. The guy should be asking me this. You know, and it's just
I get what you're saying.
relax.
Just be present.
Be
like
present,
you can't be
enjoy,
present
yeah.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
That's good, man.
I think the dark side of being a leader, right, is sometimes it could, and I've done it, right, where I'm telling someone what to do,
yeah.
you know, and I think what I've learned about, you know, leadership, and I've learned it more through church, right, and even with my current boss right now, is you need to show them, right? Don't ever tell someone to do something that you're not willing to do yourself.
Yep.
You know, and I've done that where sometimes at work I'm handed things and I'm like, ooh, I can give it to this person. You know, and it'll be something as simple as like calling a patient, you know, or calling an insurance company or calling a doctor's office, and I'm like, ooh, I don't want to do that, you know.
This is my time to delegate.
Right. Correct. And while obviously it is good to delegate as a leader, right? Because you can't always do everything yourself,
Yeah.
right? That might also be a negative side of leadership as well, where you're so afraid of delegating, you constantly want to do everything yourself, and then you exhaust yourself.
Yep.
Right.
And then you grow that resentment for your team.
And then
You
you're
know?
really not leading anything.
And then you're not
just
leading
doing it
anything.
all. Yep.
You're just a doer, not a leader.
Exactly. You're a doer, not a leader.
Yep.
shout out Pastor Matt. He said, "Stop being a doer." You know. But yeah, I think that the dark side of leadership can be that where you tell people what to do, and you never show them.
Yeah.
You've never done it yourself, so you don't even know what to expect. What are the my boss now? He told me, he's like, always inspect what you expect. And the only way to do that is if you've done that yourself. Have you done it yourself? Have you picked up the phone and called this person? Have you, I don't know, cleaned the room a certain way and set up the office a certain way? No. So what do you even know what to look for?
Yeah.
That's good.
And then I guess with my other strength, right, the humor thing is taking it too far and saying things that you shouldn't, right? I feel like sometimes, and again, it's something that, all these things that I'm saying, I still do them by mistake, right? And I said earlier where it's like sometimes I still say things I shouldn't, right? And then I'm like, yeah, now I know for the next time not to say it, right? Because
I'm tripping.
right, because either A, no laughs, or B, like my wife is my HR rep, so she'll be like, hey. She's like, hey, next time I wouldn't say that. And I'm like, yes, ma'am, you got it. And she does work HR, so she's quick to be like, she's quick to be like, you're a walking HR liability, dude. Like, but yeah, I would say that for sure.
I love what you said. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I relate to you on that, the human part, because I've gone too far with you before, and you had to call me out on it. So I'm a jokester. I like to joke around, but it can be like where you just get caught up in the moment,
Right.
and you say something that maybe you shouldn't, it was off color or whatever. So you do have to be careful.
Right.
And
Because to you think it's funny,
because
right?
I didn't know I did anything wrong, or even that I said it. I remember saying I don't remember saying that, but if I did, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I get you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, the other day, yesterday with the youth leaders in huddle, kind of just powwow with them, whatever. There was this thing that kind of had been like on my heart recently that God had been taking me through, that I don't even feel comfortable roasting people anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like, it doesn't sit well with me anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, man, I don't even want to like roast you. Like, I mean, I'll play around with people. Right? I'll play, but
And that's the type of humor that
and I'll play. But one thing will definitely I'll never do. And I was telling the leaders yesterday was that one thing that we're not doing here is definitely roasting people on what they look like.
Yeah.
yeah
Looks and all that. I was like,
For
that's
sure.
no go.
yeah
But then
for sure.
I told them, it's not that it's wrong to play around.
Sure.
I think that if the balance of encouragement and roasting is off, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
If I'm roasting more than I'm encouraging,
yeah.
there's something wrong here.
100%.
So I think that I told them, I was like, there's a huge roasting culture in youth, but I don't even like it.
Yeah.
I feel like
It's-
students should
it's
come
so
in.
true, man.
Yeah, I
That's
feel like
so
students
true.
should come in. Students and leaders should come in and leave empowered.
Right.
Leave encouraged, ready to tackle on
Not
the
like,
lead.
man, this guy just told me,
Yeah, dang, bro. Or like, let's say a kid or a leader's not good at roasting.
Right.
And he's like, man, I got to get good at it to fit in.
Right.
and then they start saying the most out of pocket things.
So it's like,
They start hitting
and you've
below the
had
belt.
that, right? You've had that.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Imagine going to school, hearing things at school, right? Maybe even hearing it at home, and then I
Yeah.
go to a safe space at church,
It's
and then
supposed
hearing the
to be-
same thing.
Yeah.
It's
I told them yesterday, I was like, this has to be a safe haven.
Yeah.
For students, leaders, it has to be like,
Yeah.
we're united.
So true, man.
Right.
And
we
man,
can play,
Sure.
of course. We can
That's so
banter
good.
and all that.
That's so
but
good,
it's
Pastor.
got to be, the culture has to be encouragement
Yeah.
more than anything else.
1,000%.
That's so good.
And it's so, to your point of like that there's people who are just not good at roasting. And these teenagers are rough though, dude. They can get mean, dude, because I've heard it, bro.
So
I've heard
funny,
it.
bro.
It's funny, but sometimes you see, you're like, ooh, that sucks.
I just be laughing. Even when they telling me stuff, I just be laughing. I'm like, bro, that's so funny. Like, how'd you even come up
Bro,
with that?
you know what's crazy is that for my 30th birthday, I've been telling my wife that I want to roast. Like I want to be roasted.
wanna be roasted?
Like a Tom Brady like roast. Heck yeah, because I think I have people around that you guys can, some people aren't good at it, but but I told everybody, if you go below the belt, I'm going low. So, but yeah, because I can handle it, right? But and then, for example, I've told my wife, I'm like, I want Joe to be the MC.
That's So
I got a lot of material.
there you go. You also said something about leadership that don't do anything if you're not you're not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And I can speak with that. Like, we have to set up and tear down the chairs every week.
Yeah.
For youth, and me and Jesse, hey, come on, let's
Yeah.
do the chairs, and we're there, and we've done it like since we've been even youth leaders,
Right.
doing the chairs. So now, like, a youth leader like Alex, he might not see me doing the chairs because I might be talking to a student, but his attitude's not like,
No, we all.
yo, what's up?
Yeah.
Like, this guy's not doing anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Because he saw me lead by example.
Right.
So I think that's so important.
And also, you're in a different space now, man. You're a pastor, so these kids are going to be pulling on you after you get off the stage.
Yeah.
You know, and you're not gonna stack a chair when there's a crying kid in a corner because he needs a hug from you, or he needs to pray for
process
them. Process whatever it was, right? The message touched them, and they're going through it.
Yeah. But that starts at the top too, because I saw Pastor Matt, the first couple months, like he was moving chairs around.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I see even still him picking up stuff.
Even in staff,
Yeah.
like where there's set up and tear down, where
Right.
we have like an event,
Right.
and there's no volunteers and it's just the staff.
Yeah.
He's there.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
not hiding.
Right.
He's not like, all right, you guys got that.
Right.
He's leading.
Yeah.
He's leading. He's like, all right,
And I
let's
don't
do
have to
this.
see him do it every time because I've seen him do it.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And I know
Right.
the culture now. And now
Correct.
that permeates, right?
Yeah, yeah, big time,
Yeah.
man.
That's
Correct.
so important. That's awesome, Faye.
I love that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Where were we?
Huh?
I think Alex was or Chris for
Oh, for the dark side.
Yeah, the dark side.
Welcome to the dark side. It's the name of the podcast.
I think the dark side for me, it's one that kind of fits for both, because having a good personality or a personality that you can touch people's lives or people listen to you, can be very draining at the same time. And
Yeah.
that's kind of like the kryptonite of it. And same thing with the youth. If you're not able, sometimes I have to be able to I guess set my own boundaries because I still have a responsibility as a parent.
Yeah.
So there's times that my kids may need me, but I still have a kid from youth that's reaching out to me.
Right.
So I have to be able to know not only how to do the time management part of it, to be able to touch both, but to also still give that priority to my kids to know that they're still important in my life, and they're still a priority. That yes, although I do serve the youth and I'm here to help the youth, I'm still here for them as a father, first and foremost.
Yeah.
So definitely, I think that serves on both ends because, I can talk to everyone and I can be, that person that, listen, I'm gonna hear you. I'm gonna hear what you got to say, and then I'm not gonna tell you what to do, because that's what I've tried to not only preach but practice, even with my own kids.
Yeah.
Which is, how am I gonna build this relationship with this person?
Yeah.
So I can't just be like, well, you got to do this, because
Yeah.
that's the fastest way to a kid to cut you off.
Yeah.
Right.
That's their disconnect. Like, nah, man, this is just another authority trying to tell me what to do. I'm not
Right.
trying to hear all that.
Correct.
So what I try to do is I hear them out, and then I give them an example as to why I would do things in that certain light.
That's good.
So that way they understand, okay, well, he would do it this way, but this is why.
Right.
Not just go do it, because then they're not really learning anything. And there's not really there's nothing to take away from you. There's not that nugget to take from you besides authority.
Yeah.
So I don't want my edge to come into play, especially in youth,
Yeah.
because I'm literally like the OG, the old head, whatever. But they still give me that respect of like,
100%.
He's talking, like, listen up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I give them that freedom. Tell me what you feel.
Yes.
Tell me what you think. Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the reason why I would do it this way is because, well, one, that outcome is going to happen, but two, this is the way you got to look at it. So I just think it's definitely a pro and a con to be reachable by people and have people wanting you in their business, but at the same token, you got to know how to cut it off.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Yeah.
I think with encouragement comes like at times false hope, right? Like you could encourage people left and right. all you
Oh
want.
yeah.
Talk about it, Chris.
Yeah.
Giving them false hope, bro. That's so important.
You could give them false hope, right? Or even like, I don't want to say identity crisis, right? But choose more than that. chew more than they could handle, right?
Gotcha.
Right, because
Like you don't want to inflate their ego.
right, right, and it goes also to with the being welcoming, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're so wanting to be welcome, you chew more than you can, right? So you're reaching out to people, right?
You're stretching yourself thin.
Yeah, stretching myself thin, right? With that, right? So it's like reaching out to 6 people one day and not getting back to them until like 3 days later.
Right. Right. So
Yeah.
then where really is the intentionality?
Yeah.
You know, that's so true, bro. And I think another thing, because you were talking and saying you're stretching yourself thin, I think a dark side also of being too welcoming, bro, is lack of boundaries.
Yeah.
Lack of boundaries. And again, we've kind of brushed on it a little bit. But I think it's important to know that we're called to love everybody, but we're not called to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, you got to make sure that the person that you're pouring into and that you're dealing with, and it's funny, Yul is the one who told me that this week. He was like, make sure that the person you're pouring into is the person you're called to. Because if you're just pouring, you're just draining yourself and exhausting yourself for no reason. And then they're not going to listen to you because you're not called to reach that person.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Good.
It's fire.
Richard.
For me, I mean, I spoke about the gentle leader, but I guess the strengths that I said was I'm a good listener and I'm patient. And I spoke also about the boundaries, like why it's important to have that boundary. It's because I'm still human. Even if I try to put on that Superman cape and, you know, just try to help people, I'm not Superman.
Yeah.
I'm a human being.
Sure.
Right.
So because my patience will be tested if I don't have that boundary, I got to know that I'm even more dangerous than your typical person that will just explode at random just because. Because, for example, Joe, if I explode on you, you're not going to see it coming because that's out of my character. So you're going to be like, what just happened?
Right.
I think maybe Renee and Chris probably have seen me on a small occasion, I guess.
But that got into Richard.
Exactly.
I've never seen, I don't think I've ever heard Richard yell.
Yeah.
Like ever in his life.
Richard, yell at me.
Absolutely not.
Just so you know, if you ever yell at me, I'm coming back after.
Yeah. I'll take that as you going below the belt. I'm going to go lower.
but tying it in together, because I need to have that boundary,
Yeah.
is understanding the power of the tongue,
Yep.
understanding the renewing of the mind,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and definitely guarding your heart.
Yeah.
So tying those three together, that's so important because, I know if I like to say this, I don't like to use this kind of language, but this is the truth. The worst mistake you can ever do is piss off the nicest guy.
Yeah.
Because you know something happened. You know you went too far.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So with that being said, it's like just having boundaries.
Yeah.
And for sure, just there are practical ways to do that. One, I go to my mentor. That's someone who I always have visualized things like when you're on the battleground. You need that person. Obviously, you need God above all else.
Yeah.
But you need someone having that high ground in your life that will see things that you from the battleground on the floor, you can't see.
Correct.
So I communicate to that higher ground. First is God, then it's the next step below that. It's my mentor. Then I have my battle buddies, my battle warriors that are in the fight with me, and that's these guys. So communicating that, like, all right, having an outlet, like, man, I'm feeling X kind of way. There's like this because I'm still human.
Yeah.
So I need to have something. And if you want to go even more practical, our gym, Renee knows this, our gym has a punching bag. So, you want to let a few out, just get rid of that itch that you have, and you just need to get it out of you, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like sometimes, like we can all agree, even if, being Christian, being saved and all that, when our patience is being tested,
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody wants to throw out a cuss word.
Sure. 100%. Man.
So,
Facts.
but just knowing that there's a time and a place, and to have self-control, there's so, like, man, that is vital in our walk.
Big time.
Yeah. Yep. I got a controversial question if we're going to go a little bit. A little bit.
Yeah.
I'm
Like
like,
controversy.
And I only say this is controversial because I think we talked about it one time. I don't know if you remember. It was with Sandro. I don't know if you were there. I don't know. Whatever. It's way off base of what we're talking about, but I think it's a good question. I think it's a good thing to ask one of our pastors. You know.
if you want, we can edit this out.
You might want to edit out for your wife because the question's gonna pertain to that. So.
If I don't know how to answer, just delete it so I
Okay.
don't get fired.
Yeah. That's right. So the question was raised to me from Alessandro in front of my wife, so I'm gonna pose it to you.
Yeah.
Do you think there's only one person for you?
Like you're saying before you get married?
Like, is
Like, do you think
Jesse
that there's the
only
one?
person for you?
So, me and Jesse pretty much believe the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe, this is just me,
Yeah.
I don't believe that there is the one
Okay.
for you.
Yeah.
I think that God will show you, he'll show you, highlight people
Yeah.
for you to choose from.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's like, oh, God gave me her. Why? Because if something goes wrong,
Right.
you can't blame God for it.
Right.
That was your decision. You chose her.
Right.
Right.
So I know for a fact that people can choose the wrong partner.
Yeah. Good.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you. And when I posed the response to my wife, she was a little upset in the beginning, but then as I talked through
She's
it,
like, what?
As I talked through it, it made more sense to her.
Understood.
But there's cases where their spouse passes away or whatever. They can meet that next person. I think there are people that fit the mold. There's a lot of people that might fit this mold that God has passed in front of you. You might have turned away. You may never even notice them, right? But what I think the beautiful part of it is because we do get to choose, right? That means every day I wake up, there are other people out there that I could fit just as well with, but I choose to be with my wife.
And that's
Correct.
love, right?
And
That's
that's
real love.
That's love.
Not
That's
because
love.
God says I have to be with her.
No.
Right.
Because I choose to be.
Choose to.
Correct.
So much more romantic to me.
100%.
So much more powerful to me.
100%.
That not God designed this one person. No, I choose this person. There's a lot of other people, but every day I wake up, I choose her.
It's so good.
I think it's the power to choose what you need and not what you want.
Big time.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I
Facts.
think when we do make our selections, it's kind of like a season
Yeah.
that we're in, or depending on what season we're in, is how we make that selection.
Yeah.
And I'm just going based off of like my personal, experiences
Yeah.
and even with the mother of my kids. I think, like you said, there are options out there, but I think it because I remember saying, like, even for the mother of my kids, when I was with her, I mean, it started off wrong. Like I started off, like, even with her, like, I wasn't the perfect guy. I wasn't the guy that she needed me to be. Let's just say that. I understand that now.
Yeah.
But I remember in that season when she's like, look, we're going to get married. I'm like, how can I not marry her? She's put up with all of my stuff.
Right.
She's endured everything. How can I not
You feel obligated to.
marry her, so to speak?
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely a season that we're in where it really depends. And
Yeah.
obviously, I think we need to be aligned with God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because not being aligned with God
Oh, man.
will
Big time.
will just definitely have you picking everything and anything that's
100%.
that's good to the eye.
Yeah.
They say that, opposed to, once again, what we may need, or
Yeah.
or the truest partner that will be the best success to us and what we're trying to maybe build.
I think this poses even bigger thoughts
Yeah.
because if there's one thing that bothers me about Christian communities is that everything that I went through or everything that I'm going through is part of God's plan.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily agree with that.
Yeah.
Just because you believe doesn't mean that everything that you're going through is part of God's plan.
Right.
I feel like, so I was on a call earlier with a student, and he's telling me like, yeah, you know, I might not like where I'm at, and but it's part of God's plan. And this student, you know, he tried to move forward with God, but he left them. So he's trying to come back. So he's like, yeah, I don't like where I'm at, but it's part of God's plan, right?
Yeah.
And I told him, well, I mean, you got to look at it this way. If a cartel member kills a bunch of people,
Right.
and then he gets captured and he's going to get his head cut off, he cannot say, oh, this is God's plan. This is just part of God's plan.
Right. Right.
That's not God's plan.
Right.
That's the consequences of your decision.
Right. Yeah.
That's not God's plan.
Right.
Talk about
And
it.
I would never think that God would want us to be apart from Him.
Yeah.
So if you're
100%.
away from God, that's not God's plan. He
No.
doesn't want you to be away
Yeah,
from Him.
no.
Right.
You know?
And this is what bothers me a lot, is because I think that Christians a lot use that as an excuse to blame God instead of their
100%,
decision.
Oh,
Yeah.
1,000.
So like we've had kids say, "Oh, like camp is coming up. I don't want to go to camp." Okay, that's fine. They say that like 6 months before camp.
Right.
Camp is coming up. Oh, can I go to camp? Well, I mean, your spot's taken, so we can't. Oh, I guess God didn't want me to go. No,
No. Yeah.
it's you.
Right.
You didn't want to. You said no.
Right.
So you can't blame God. I just don't like when people.
And then they start
blame
praying, God, make a way where there's no
Yeah,
way.
it's like God. You can't blame God.
Yeah.
That's literally on you.
Yeah.
So even in the scripture, it says all things work together for your good if you're in Christ Jesus.
Right.
So there's a difference.
Right.
Like if you're gonna walk in obedience,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then things will work out for
Yeah.
you. But if you're not walking in obedience,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say, "Oh, this is God. This is what
Yeah.
God wanted." No, He'll make it work out for you.
Sure.
But
Because he loves you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're walking in obedience,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our God is a God of responsibility,
Yeah,
right?
big time.
So God, I believe, wants you to be a pastor,
Yeah.
right? That's God's plan for you. But if you don't walk that out, you don't take the steps, it doesn't happen. That's not God's plan.
Yeah.
God's plan was for you to do this,
100%.
but you chose not to do it, and now you're not doing that.
100%.
That's not God's plan.
Right.
His plan was for you to prosper, to do more,
Yep.
Right.
to carry this
Exactly.
authority.
Right. That's like saying that every fallen pastor, oh, that's God's plan. It's like, no,
No.
they just going to keep it in their pants.
Yeah, that's not.
You know what I'm saying?
If it was part of God's plan, then when we face God, there wouldn't be an account that we have to give.
Yeah.
For what He's
Right.
given us.
Right, because
Correct.
it was His plan then.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Oh, and it's God's plan. Oh, I gave you this gifts. What did you do with it?
Right.
Right.
Oh, I didn't use it. I just hid it. Right. I
Right.
just hid my gift because it's God's plan. I
Right.
just thought that's what you wanted.
That's
me to
kind of
do.
like the parable of the talent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just buried it. But so you didn't do anything with it?
Yeah.
And, oh yeah, I just thought that's what you would want. No,
Right.
Right.
it's you were responsible for those talents,
Right.
right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So you didn't do anything with it, and now, unfortunately, that gift you could have gave to the world is now dead forever.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
Wow.
That's so good. Something that I want to add to this conversation that as, I'm hearing it all right now and self-reflecting and how God talks to me and just highlights certain things and gives me ways of understanding practically, right? Mm-hmm. In the beautiful season that I'm in the singleness season, how I'm seeing a family man, a father, a married man, and an engaged man.
Nice.
So, like, as the outsider looking in, is like, man, just going back to Joe's question, I'm going to tie it into what you just said, Faye. It's so interesting because, and I heard Renee say this one time, I believe in the past, and I agree. There isn't the one, there's a one. And I do believe that's true. And if I'm thinking biblically, God said, I will give him a helper. So I think of a helper, it's like, man, the things that I lack, the helper is going to strengthen me.
Yes.
So, as seeing how Renee and Chris and even Joe, to some degree, but let's start with Renee and Chris. It's Renee is married to his opposite
Big time.
that complements
Polar.
Yeah, that complements him
Yep.
very well.
Yeah.
Because
She does.
yeah, Chris is engaged to his opposite
Yep.
that brings him to another side that he's not used to, and he has to grow.
Yeah.
And he is learning and just evolving.
Yeah.
Facts.
So,
Yeah.
so like with that, it's like it doesn't look like, oh,
On
this is
caps.
the one. Like, you know, we're identical. 'Cause
Right.
I think, man, a marriage will look so boring if you were.
That's not fun, man.
Yeah, exactly, like a cookie cut version of yourself. You know.
Yeah, nobody want a twin.
Yeah, and Pastor Matt said it like so good in one of the services. It's like if there's the peace, the other one has to be the storm.
Right.
Right.
So good.
And sometimes that's interchangeable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
And I've even heard it like this, right? Couples, right, come together because of similarities, but stay together because of differences.
It's good, man.
Yeah.
It's very good.
My boy.
Very good.
Well,
Look at you dropping that fat gold
There you
nugget,
go,
dog.
Chris.
Dang, extra crispy, baby.
And like tying, I guess, with what you were saying, Pastor Faye, was something that I got convicted heavy. It was just like, yeah, God will send you warnings. God will send you signs. God will send you people like, hey, watch out,
Big time.
watch out. But God is the perfect gentleman that sometimes when we want to take the baton and just, you know, control everything, we have to remember that God is such a gentleman that he still doesn't impose on free will.
Yeah.
100%, man.
You know, yes, he will turn everything for good, like the word says, but he won't like, no, you're going to go down that road. I'm not going to stop you. I love you, but you're going to get burned.
Yeah.
And I'll be right here when you get back.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, now if God does that to us, you know, we have to understand and be okay and accept that we can't save everybody, you know,
Yep.
even though how much we want to.
I think it's part of our refinement, though.
Yeah.
Just as a person, we all just go through our different types of refinement or our different seasons of refinement.
Yeah.
Because we're all battling and struggling with different things.
Yeah.
So the same thing I may be struggling with, it may not be something that Chris is struggling with.
Right.
So my refining is not going to look like Chris is refining.
Yeah.
You know, the way God works with Chris or God works with his heart and his mind, it might not be the same for me because I don't. His weaknesses are not mine.
Right.
Yeah.
So besides even building that here, it gives us even the opportunity to see each other's and be like, hey, this you need to tighten up right here, my boy.
Yeah.
And vice versa. You know,
Yeah,
like,
100%.
or when it gives you that opportunity for us to build that relationship here and come in with that, then it gives us the opportunity to even be able to talk to you about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of like that transparency that we create as men. But once again, it's kind of why it's all needed. It's all tied into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought something you said was so good that I didn't even think about. But when you said God will send us a helper, he doesn't say the helper or your
Dude,
helper.
I was saying the same thing. Dang, I should have said it.
He says a helper.
Right.
It was the first time I heard it. And I'm like, wow, that's true. Like,
Very true.
and he's going to send he could have sent you a bunch of helpers, you know?
Yeah.
But you had to choose which one you wanted. He didn't send you, and that's everything, right? Like, to your point, like, God is a gentleman because he doesn't impose on us. So like, we have free will, right? He could, he has the authority to, but he doesn't, right?
Right.
So I thought that was big. It's like he does send
Yeah.
a helper, not
Right.
the helper or our helper.
Yeah.
He sends
And,
a helper,
and God didn't force Adam to fall in love with Eve.
right?
He presented her, and Adam was like, "This is good." You know, God just don't miss. You know what I'm saying? God does not miss.
Yeah, I've
You know-
seen, bro. I've seen people with such strong callings on their lives.
Yeah,
Go the complete opposite way because of who they choose.
yeah,
And not just even relationships. I think that also goes like friendships and stuff. Like any
100%.
all your
Yeah,
relationships. Yeah.
But like I'm talking about
Yeah.
like partner wise, like who you marry.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Like if you
1000%.
So, like you said, the thing about God being a gentleman, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
It gets to the point that God will tell you to stop multiple different ways,
Yeah.
multiple different times. But if you keep chasing after it, God will give you what you want.
Right.
Yeah.
His permissible way.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, here you go.
Yeah.
But that's on you,
Yeah.
and that's
Now you take everything that comes with it.
Right.
now you gotta take everything. So imagine the weight of that, and add it into marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now marriage is a forever thing, right?
Yeah.
So now you got to deal with everything forever. That's scary.
Yeah.
That's scary.
I think about what you're saying is so true. Like we're not the men we are without our wives.
Big
Right.
time.
Because I know my wife is pushing me. I
Yep.
know your wives are pushing you. I wouldn't be the man I am without them, right? Because
100%.
they're that force, that driving force. Just like I know I'm the same for her, you know. And if we pick the wrong one, then they're not being that catalyst that we need.
Yep.
Right? They're not the ones pushing. You know, they're not the ones that I know when I ask my wife for something because I need it.
Yeah.
Like I need you to do this for me, so I don't do this or whatever.
Yeah.
I've heard other wives say, "Oh, I can't do that." My wife is like, "Yeah, I'll do that for you."
Yep.
You know, because she can do the things I need her to do for me
Yep.
to push me.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
and so if I was mixed up with anybody else,
Yep.
I wouldn't be where I am today. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be sitting here.
Yep.
I wouldn't be at church. I wouldn't be who I am. You know, so 100%. Like
Yeah.
the wrong person. You know,
Yeah.
you're not a pastor. You know, we're not.
1,000%.
We're not where we are.
I would not be here without my wife.
Yeah.
100%.
1,000%.
She like we were saying, polar opposites, right?
Yeah.
Jesse is administrative and
Yeah.
gets things done.
Oh yeah.
I don't, because I don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
I know where to go.
Yeah. You're a
But I don't know
dreamer,
how
bro.
to get
You're
there.
a dreamer.
Yeah, I got to see the vision.
Yeah.
I'm very creative.
Yeah.
She's not,
Right.
but she knows how to maneuver to get what we need.
Right.
Right.
And I'll tell her, okay, this is the direction, but she's like, I know how to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if we were both imagine if we were both the same. Like for me, I mean, some people make it work, right?
Sure.
Cool, but like for me, like if I was the same as Jesse, I feel like it just would not work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine we're just dreaming all day. Ain't nothing getting done. Or we're just driving.
Right.
And we don't know where we're driving to.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
What you
important.
dream, babe?
Man,
And
that'd be great.
And I think that's also important, right? Going back to, you come together because of similarities, but stay together because of your differences, right? Is because if you want to go where you, right, as the husband, as the leader, right, of a household, you need somebody, right, to help you in whatever or complement you
Yep.
in that.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good, man.
That's good. All right, so I want one last question.
All right.
and then we can
Okay,
wrap it. We've
cool,
been here
for
for
sure.
3 hours.
I love it.
Is this the longest one you guys
Oh,
have?
1,000%.
Yeah, I think so.
This is our
Wow.
longest episode.
Without stopping, for sure.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
stopping.
You're gonna stop
And
before?
It's all
in my
because you ask questions,
mind,
bro.
I'm like praying in tongues. I'm like, Lord, please let the computer just keep going for a few more minutes. Jesus, be in control of the technology.
No, it's going good though.
But it's going good.
Yeah.
In
Why
Jesus'
have
name
you
is
guys had to stop? For
Why?
what reasons? Yeah.
well, because a stupid microphone decides to fall.
Oh,
you know?
man.
Or because the something in the past,
the computer. Or
yeah, or like the camera stopped working.
And we
But-
try to honor people's time.
Yeah,
We don't
100%.
wanna-
right.
So
No,
you
I
said,
know.
but
I know
you said
when it
keep
hit
it
like
going.
maybe
Because
like
we don't
an
want you to
hour.
go back now and be like,
When
I was
it
here for
hit
3
maybe an
hours.
hour, I already felt like you guys were like, okay, let's start ending
Yeah.
it. But I'm like, I mean, I can keep going if you guys.
No, we're good.
bro,
We're good.
listen.
Because we've done it before where we were like, okay, thank you, have a good night. And
That was that good.
Yeah.
then you
That was
guys
my
stay.
bad.
Yeah. But it's like,
And then you guys stay.
and we're like, oh, let's do another one, and then the person's just sitting here, and we're just talking. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
we should have kept the camera on.
that's-
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. So
I
it's
know.
always trying to find that balance.
Right, so we're trying to get like all the juices out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
last question. Go
last
ahead.
question. So, It's Pride Month.
Oh, okay.
Oh, let's talk about it.
I ain't even know.
You know, it's Pride Month, and you know, nowadays, man, the youth are so impressionable.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been joking around about it lately, but and I said it earlier today, but and this ties into it, right? Like I fear for these kids now,
Yeah.
when they start dating and getting to know people.
Yeah.
Like, I fear for them, man. Like, you don't even know who you're talking to anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know if that's a dude, if that's a chick who wants to be a dude down the road, or a dude who wants to be a chick down the road, you know? So, and like I said, kids are so impressionable. So how do you, as a youth pastor, as you know, how do you approach? Because I'm sure you've already dealt with it.
Yeah.
You know, kids that are struggling with their sexuality, kids that are confused with their identity. You know, how have you approached that with the love and grace that God has shown you in your, you know, iniquities and your failures and in your confusion, right? Not obviously sexual, but any confusion in life. Like, how have you dealt with that?
Man, I think that, so it stems from a place of love.
Yeah.
It stems from always a place of love, because like we were saying earlier, I'm not going to tell you what to do if I don't have that
Relationship.
with you. But I will tell them what the Word of God says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I won't point a finger
Right.
at them. So I think that the best way that anyone can handle it, or even like if we're talking about youth, is you need to get into their world, because a lot of times there's something rooted on why they're like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Something
100%.
might have happened.
Yeah.
Something triggered something.
Right.
Like something had happened in childhood.
1,000%.
Things to like,
Yeah.
you know, get to that point. So I think just getting down to their world. Okay, let me see
Yeah.
where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I'm never gonna tell them to stop being like that. I think
Yeah.
God will do that at His time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just always making yourself available.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. I'm just anything that you need. You know, just constantly just being there for them.
Right.
Because the moment that God is shifting their heart,
Yeah.
they need to know where to run to.
Yeah.
1,000%.
When they have questions or where to go.
Yeah. And it's funny that you mentioned that part right there, because I saw it on Instagram. It was Manny Arango. He posted it because and I don't know if you guys know, but he has like his ARMA courses thing, which are great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And he's doing a series right now on LGBTQ.
Right.
And one of the things he posted was like, it blew my mind. He said that the majority of LGBTQ are open to returning to the faith, but they don't for fear of, you know, not.
Yeah.
I've gone to them before and they've shamed me. They've told me that God hates me, that God is disappointed in me,
So
that
sad.
you know, that I'm gonna go to hell because I'm gay or whatever, you know. And and it's so true. It's important to be a safe space, man. And you know, it's the cliche that all churches believe in, right? Like, come as you are,
Yeah.
right? Right? My opinion. Do I believe all churches really believe that? No.
Yeah.
You know, I will say, and this isn't because I'm biased or whatever, but I've never seen our church turning anybody away.
Yeah.
You know, because of whatever thing they believe sexually or whatever thing they might have on them or whatever they might think. I've seen people come in jacked up,
Yeah.
you know, and really have a twisted life and get straightened out, you know, because the community that we offer,
Yeah.
you know, the dinner parties and essential
Youth too.
and youth and all these things that we offer, all these resources
Yeah.
where, man, people are going to love you regardless of what you believe or regardless of what gender you like or what gender you think you are or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to love you because at the end of the day, it's, you know, what Yule has told all of us, it's like, let them come, love on them, and in time that'll go away.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jesus deals with that later.
Yeah.
You don't have to, you know, I remember
off rip, just try to address it.
right.
You have to.
Exactly. Like, you don't have to address it
Right.
like immediately. No,
Yeah.
trust me.
the truth of the matter is that you probably won't even have to address it.
Correct.
Because a lot of the times it's because they're so impressionable, they see what you're really supposed to carry yourself like in whatever it may be. And a lot of times they even try to adapt that themselves.
Yeah.
So I think it just really comes to loving on them and expressing to them that, look, we care.
Yeah.
I'm not here to judge you.
Yeah.
You know, I've been through my own stuff. Whatever you got going on, I understand. We just got to get past that at this point.
Yeah.
And in due time, you know, God is going to take that out of your heart.
God is going to do his thing.
Yep.
You know,
He deals with it.
It's kind of like, you know, me with you know, in my testimony, when I used to say that I used to show up to church high, you know, I'm sure if anybody in the congregation, anybody in the church knew that I was, you know, lit at that time, they're going to be like, yo, my boy, you need to get up out of here. They probably say something to that degree.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where, for me, not to say that I'm just going to be like, yeah, hey, man, you know, go smoke and come to church. I would never say that. But if you do come to church like that, I'm never going to turn you away.
Right.
I'm still going to give you the same hug.
Who are we to
that-
judge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That I would give anybody that's sober. Because at the end of the day, I don't know what that person's battling.
Yeah.
Maybe that was their coping mechanism to get them to church.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe that's all they needed. In due time, whenever God is ready to lift that off of your spirit, he'll take care of that.
I want to be so clear on this topic right now. So, gay pride is a sin. It is 100%.
Yeah.
Pride itself, the fact that they call Pride Month pride, is a sin.
Yeah.
But you know what the beautiful thing is about that is? Your sin is no greater than my sin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
100%.
Sin is sin to God.
Yep.
Yep.
We all sin.
Yep.
And so when I deal with people like this, there is truth. We speak truth to them because people should speak truth to my sins as I should speak truth to their sins in the right context.
Yeah.
Because that's important too. That's part of the process, right?
Yeah.
Speaking from the Bible, it's not your opinion, it's the word,
Yeah.
right? But the beautiful part I've always dealt with, and I've dealt with people with this, you know, I've been very clear. It don't mean nothing to me because your sin is no, like I've done worse than that, you know, like in God's eyes, it's the same.
Yep.
Right.
And that's the part that I think the Christians really mess up on.
100%.
They really mess up on because guess what? I have a strong opinion on it, right? Politically, spiritually, religiously, personally. My mom's a lesbian. Like that's a personal thing, right?
Yeah.
But guess what? It doesn't matter.
Yep.
They're sinning just as much as I am.
Yep.
And so that's where we need to take this approach. We still love, we still correct, we still deal with, we don't shy away from it, right?
Amen.
But just like I should deal with their sin, somebody's dealing with my sin.
Yep.
Right.
And if we could just come to this realization that none of us are perfect, we all have issues from the top to the bottom.
Yep.
And people would feel more welcome. And they would be able to get into a space where they could change, right? They could feel the love of God. They could, wow, God, just like God has done with me in some of my sin. I'm still sinning. I still have sin. But there is sin that God has dealt with because I felt love. Where people didn't look at me like, oh, Joe, you have a problem and we can't deal with it.
Right.
But that's how people look at these people.
Right.
And that's a problem.
Big
It's a big
problem. Huge problem, bro.
Once again, problem, yes. Sin, yes. Pride itself is a sin, right?
Yeah.
That's a sin. But there's people
Whether
I know
gay
that-
or straight.
I've had pride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that kind of pride, but I've had pride in myself and what I do.
Yeah.
So I just hope and I pray, and especially in a youth environment where suicide's so high these days, is that we could just come to a place of loving kids, speaking truth to kids 100%, because I believe in that. We don't hide from it.
Right.
But just realizing that, man, that kid's no different than that kid.
Yep.
It's the same thing. It's the same sin. And most of the times, we only identify that sin because it's a public sin.
Right.
But there's a lot of sin that person's hiding that you never hear about.
Yep.
Come on.
Correct.
Yep.
Right? And does that make it any better or worse? No. Right? So that's what I would say about this. 100% problem, yes. But no different.
Right.
And we shouldn't... We get so scared about talking about it.
Right.
Why should I be scared about talking about
Right.
it? I don't get scared of saying, hey, you have an alcohol problem, let's deal with it. I shouldn't have a problem. Like, yeah, you're gay, okay, great. No different. Let's work this out. Let's talk about
Right.
it.
Let's walk
I want you to
together.
be so honest
Yeah.
with me because I don't care. I don't care that you sin. because I sin too, buddy.
Yep.
Like, let's work
100%.
through this together.
100%.
You know, and to do that, part of that is building the relationship and the discipleship, where I'm going to tell them, hey, this is what I deal with, right? I don't have to tell them everything, right?
For sure.
But hey, I deal with sin too. And guess what? God sees us the same.
Yeah.
Wow.
We need to build those bridges.
Yeah.
100%.
I think two things, right? One, people forget where they started.
Yeah.
People forget where they came from.
Big time.
And it doesn't matter whether you yourself struggled with homosexuality or perverted thoughts or whatever it is, or you were just a frigging not hypothetical. Oh my gosh.
Hypocritical.
No. Pathological liar.
Okay.
You know, or a thief, or you did drugs, or all you did was cuss a lot.
Yeah.
That is all the same to God.
Yeah.
Sin is sin. Like it's like Joe said, sin is sin. There's nothing else. And the other side of it, right, that people forget where they came from. Christians forget where they come from. I think the other thing that is holding the hand of that type of issue is that you're not the person who does the sifting. You know, because sifting is when you start, you know, like when what is it, farmers, right? When they start sifting the wheat, it's to take out all the bad stuff so they can put the good stuff that they've been harvesting. You're not the sifter, dude.
Yep.
Like that's God's problem.
Yeah.
That's not your problem. You know, you're called to love on this person and to walk with them, like, you know, like Pastor Fe said, and you know, and do life with them. But you're not the person that has to, again, correct them, call them out, make them feel bad, condemn them. That's not our problem. The Bible says that we're called to judge. Paul said we're called to judge those inside the body of Christ, you know, by fruit inspection. The people out in the world, I can't judge them. Like we can't judge them. That's God's problem. That's not our problem.
Yeah.
So
We can't even judge them because we're not in the same playing field.
that's what I'm saying.
And it is like no shade. It's just really we're living something different than they are. So how can we pretty much judge them for something that they don't know or they don't live?
Yo.
You know, that's just the reality to it.
Yeah.
Man, something, if I can add, just pretty much what you guys shared.
Yeah.
Sin is sin, and then I'll go back to the whole Pride Month thing. Sin is sin. I was at my dinner party, and obviously you guys know me. You guys know my persona. Like it's my character. It's very chill, very mellow. So one of the guys said, "Man," like he was talking about, you know, about how he dealt with smoking weed, and when he looked at me, he's like, "Man, you don't look like you've ever done that, or you don't look like you've ever done anything."
Yeah.
So I kind of rebutted that. That's because that makes me the worst kind of sinner.
Right.
Because I don't look like that to you.
Right.
But I have sin on my
Yeah.
life. So sin is sin.
Wow.
And so tying that in with the whole pride, I think it's, and I felt I've fallen guilty of this because I've made a joke. Like, for example, when these guys are, you know, venting to me, or they've said, and I've said a dumb joke. It's like, man, if you know, if we would just date each other, like you wouldn't even have these problems with your wife because, you know, like, oh, your wife doesn't even know what to eat. This wouldn't be a problem. But what I just did under this context, you guys understand that it's a joke.
Right.
In the context of someone that doesn't understand that is a seed, a negative seed, because, you know, the word says about the seed the size of a mustard, and how it could grow. But even think of a negative seed and how that can grow.
Yeah. Big time.
So just being very careful, and I said it earlier, is just really, you know, the power of the tongue is just be careful what you say, especially who's around you. And it's not because of being fake.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's because you're guarding people. You're trying to protect people from falling into it because, okay, then if he said this, then, you know, if I push the envelope a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and I do believe that's what we've done in this fallen world.
Yeah.
It's like we just pushed every envelope to we are where we are because of that.
Right.
So how do we correct that?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have something to add to that, Pastor Faye, but just really be mindful of the things that we say in all aspects to edify, to sharpen.
Big time, man.
You know,
Yeah.
I do think that is so important, and we need more of that in this world.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, we need that to edify with our words.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. And even with our actions, you know, like I think about like drinking, like alcohol, right? Do I think it's a sin to drink alcohol? No. I mean, in the Bible, I mean, most dinner parties or hangouts that Jesus, there was alcohol involved, right? But it speaks to not to get drunk, right, in the Bible. But I'm not going to ever drink in the wrong environment where I could mess somebody up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
First of all, I'm not going to do it in private where I'm going to mess myself up and do too much or whatever. But I'm never going to do it around certain people, church people, because I don't want to have them be hung up because of me. I don't want to be a stumbling block for somebody else, you know, and that's so important. It's not about fake. It's not about lying to anybody. It's just, I don't want to be a catalyst for somebody else to mess up.
Yeah.
And the same thing could be true of words, right? Or jokes that we were talking about, or you were talking about. Like, it could be so many things. Just being careful with our actions and all those things, because I think it was Roy I was talking to. I'm like, hey, we don't, like, even if you're not drinking at the bar, don't sit at the bar, because you don't want anybody walking in thinking
That perception.
that you're drinking at the bar. You could never ever drink at the bar, and just because he's single, he's just hanging out at the bar. And every time I see him, he's with a Coke, right? But it's just like, it could stumble somebody else up, you know?
Yeah.
Because Roy's been sober for years, right? Like, so he's really put in the work, but I never want to be a catalyst for anybody else messing up. And so, like, just like you're saying, the jokes, all those things have to be careful. Because I've made similar jokes, right? I'm like, man, you know, being gay is just hanging out with my boys, you know, and it's just bros hanging out, shopping together, hanging out, watching TV. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could do that, right? It is a joke, right? In the right in a certain environment, but it could be a catalyst. It's like, well, look what Joe's saying,
Right.
you know, and that could stumble somebody.
And you never know who's struggling with what at the end of the day. That's why you got to be so careful with what you say.
And that's also, like, I'm thinking biblically in when the snake tells Eve, you know, oh, did they really say that? Like, if you get the fruit.
Yeah. Did God really say that?
Did he really say that?
Yeah.
So that perception and that catalyst thing that you're talking about, Joe, it's like, that's where the enemy has a playing field to work with.
Yeah.
And so if you cut it at the root, if you avoid those things, then, you know, you eliminate the threat.
Yeah. It's good.
It's good.
That's good. All righty, y'all. We've been here for 3 hours and 21 minutes.
I think we put in work tonight.
We put in work tonight. Yeah, I think we're gonna get like 8 episodes out of this thing. But Pastor Fe, man, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. It's an honor.
Can I just speak something over Pastor Fe?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you're on a roll. Go.
I want to say that just because I want to honor you, you've been a catalyst and like a stronghold, I think, for our church. You know, I think you stayed steady. You know I spoke negative things to you, like, to convince you, and you even talked about it tonight. But you stayed steady. You know, and God has honored that. You have helped our church to get to where we're at. I think God put me in your life for a special reason, you know, to help get to where you're at. And I'm
100%.
grateful to be a part of that.
Yeah, man.
And I'm just honored to be a part of your life. I think we're all honored to know you. I think you speak to so many people. You're relatable to people. And thank you for me. And, you know, going through the season we did, it's thankless, right, at times, because people hated you, people loved you. It's just so all over the place.
Yeah.
So I just want to, as a group, I know we can all say this, that we love you. Thank you for you and your wife for staying steady, for being faithful, and for being good people, you know, and sticking around and seeing the big picture, because we all needed that, and helping us get through the season, but now pushing us forward with people that we're comfortable with, that we love, that we can get behind, and that we can willingly call you pastor, not just because we have to, but we want to call you pastor because we want to honor you that. So as the group, I just want to say thank you, and I love you, man.
It's an honor, bro. For real. Thank you so much. That speaks a lot to me, man. You are and were a huge support through it. You know, like, even though sometimes you might feel like, oh, I left.
Right.
But just like seeing you even persevere, still being there. And you don't know how much that spoke to me.
Yeah.
I'm just like, all right, you know, like, there's still a chance here.
Yeah.
You know, just you by you just being there, man. So I love you, dude. I love it, man. I love what God is doing in all of us.
Yeah.
Right? I think God is propelling us different.
So good.
And I think that I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, we're getting warmed up again to start to keep talking for another 3 hours. Pastor Fe, we love you, man.
Yeah. Love you
Thank
guys.
you so much.
Thank you.
And so
Let's
guys,
wrap it up. Yeah.
wrap it up.
Yeah.
We're broke records today. Broke records today. Our third barber, first pastor,
Yeah.
3 hours. It's
Yeah.
been a great night. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Stay tuned until next time. Peace.
Peace.